Hi, my name is Aaron Roseman. I'm the producer on Sonic Colors Ultimate.
So, Aaron, super exciting news. Sonic Colors, fan favorite amongst Sonic fans, getting is it a remake or remaster? Like, what's the correct phrase for this game in Ultimate?
I'd say it's a remaster more than a remake. We take the game starts from the source code, and we start up, and we have updated a lot of the visuals, introduced some new gameplay features, remixed a lot of the music tracks, actually all the music tracks, and introduce some new unlockable content for Sonic.
Is that no? As a producer role, could talk about how you work with that, because is that? I mean, I think there's a misconception when things get up-resed or just slightly improved, like you just kind of drag it into a machine, it spits out something in 4K. But I know it's a lot more complicated than that.
There's definitely a lot more process, and it's a lot more complicated than that, because you can't just simply click a button and expect things to work. There is a lot of work that's involved with regards to, like, let's say you have just a basic asset. Let's say it's a coffee mug right here. You have your original coffee mug. You could automate it and up-res it and hope for the best, but the truth is that automated process doesn't always work. So it does require the hand touch of an artist to go in there, look at the asset, make sure all the dimensions, the actual geometry is just right. Actually look at the textures, make sure it's wrapped properly, and then put it into the game, look at the engine, and ensure that after all this is done, it actually looks good and in place. So it's not just a press a button and wait for it to happen. There is so much work that's involved with making sure that this is functioning and working on modern consoles. I mean, the game that we started with was built for the Wii, so it's completely different hardware from 11, geez, more than that.
Yeah, 11 so months ago, November 2010. So about 10 years.
Yeah, about 10 years ago. So you can't just work from there and expect it to work, because a lot of that technology and information is deprecated. So some of it you do have to rebuild from scratch, and some of it you try and adapt. But a lot of it, you do have a source material, but there's still a lot of work that has to be involved to actually make it look good in game.
It's funny. I can segue into my next topic. Is basically people are used to remasters on other platforms, PC, Xbox, whatever. But specifically, this game was on the Wii and Nintendo DS. Like, you don't really see a lot of Nintendo DS/Wii remasters.
No, which is actually kind of why we jumped on the opportunity to do this, because the game was only available on the Wii. We started actually, to be frank, with the Wii version of the game. So that's our source material, is the Wii version. And that's one of the reasons why we took on this challenge, is because it was only available on the Wii in this platform during this time. And like you said earlier, it's a fan favorite game. So this is a fantastic opportunity to take this fan favorite game that was only available to one platform and really open it up to multiple platforms, so all Sonic fans, old and new, can experience the game.
Can you talk about, are you adding any new features or bonuses or bonus content to the remaster that you can talk about?
Actually, I can talk about some of it. We have a couple of new features and some new content that we've thrown into the game. At a high level, I'll talk about the first one, which is tail save. We've removed Sonic's ability to lose lives and get game overs, and we replaced it with tail save. So essentially what happens is, instead of collecting lives, the player now collects tail saves. So let's say Sonic falls off of a platform. Rather than restart at the beginning of the level, get a game over, or restart at a checkpoint, Tails will then pick you up and then fly you to your last known location. So you can continue from that spot and keep moving forward. Another feature that we introduced is the 100 rings. So we introduced 100 rings, which is a ring bonus that you can get that's worth 100 rings. And then when you pick it up, it makes you invincible. So it's kind of like a little chase item for players to get at and to help them really, when they're trying to speed through levels, like give them that little bit of an advantage as they're trying to progress through the stages. And then also we've got a host of unlockable content for the game. The player can now customize his shoes and gloves, and we're introducing something kind of new to the franchise, which is boosts and auras. So what boosts and auras are is that just two parts. One is the boost. So when the player activates their boost in the game, you could choose what kind of effects will follow Sonic. So normally it's a rainbow, which you'd see normally is this kind of like rainbow explosion that follows Sonic when you boost. But now you can actually choose from a set that, I'm not going to spoil too much. I'm actually not going to spoil anything, but a variety of different effects that could play when Sonic does his boost. And with the auras, what we did is, like, there's these VFX that play around Sonic to give him kind of this like little bit of like an aura and a little bit of a more powerful feel when he appears in the game.
So you're telling me basically, like, you can adjust colors in a game called Sonic Colors.
Correct. You can adjust the colors in a game called Sonic Colors. That's a great way of putting it.
Another thing I really want to mention is that because this game was exclusively on the Wii U and Nintendo DS, it had waggle controls. Waggle was the thing, for the Wii. It was its, that was its thing. It did. How did you go about translating that or making it work for a gamepad?
Great question. We were fortunate enough that at least on the original games, that it not only did it support waggle controls, but it also could support your standard gamepad controller as well. The Controller Pro, I think, I don't know what they called it back then. We already had a button layout, so we've mimicked that button layout from the original game. Actually, I don't know if we've mimicked it. We've probably made it a little bit more intuitive for today's users. But it was actually pretty much a seamless transition. It's kind of a shame to not have that waggle when you activate your Wisp powers and do certain abilities, because you do lose a little bit of that. I wouldn't say you lose it, because the game is still fun. It's always been fun. That's the most important thing. But that's just something that happens because we're not on the Wii anymore, so we don't have that sort of functionality. So we work with what we have.
Well, just saying the PS5 and the Nintendo Switch have gyro controls where you can waggle. Is there anything? Did you do anything with those two controller types, or just wanted to keep it a flat pad experience for this remaster?
For now, the goal is to keep it as a flat pad experience. The game is actually developed for the PS4 instead of the PS5, so we couldn't take advantage of the full motion controls and the tactile. I don't know what they call them, the adaptive triggers and that sort of fun new tech that they have.
Now, probably the question everyone has is, this game had a lot of cutscenes. Are those cutscenes going to be upgraded to HD as well? Because if people don't remember, the Wii was not HD, really. You could buy converters and stuff, but at its core, it was not 1080p. Are those cutscenes going to be updated as well? Like, do you have the raw file somewhere so they're 4K or 1080 or whatever your set resolution is?
Yes. We have taken all the raw files and we have updated all of them to a higher resolution. For Xbox, PS4, PC users, it supports up to 4K. So we will see higher fidelity in all of our cutscenes.
That's what, I couldn't think of a better game that deserved a 4K or even HD treatment, because the game was so vibrant and literally colorful for a Sonic game, even for a Sonic game, which is usually colorful and vibrant anyway. And having to see everything in gorgeous HD at 60 frames and all the cutscenes, which I said there were a plethora of in the original one, updated up, it's got to be a beautiful thing to see.
I'll be honest, the team over at BSG did a really good job. Blind Squirrel Games, sorry. Work in a world of acronyms. The team Blind Squirrel Games did a really good job translating that vibrancy and that color and that palette to the new game. So the colors and everything that you saw in the original game really do translate and shine more in Sonic Colors Ultimate.
What are you most excited about for people to experience with Sonic Colors Ultimate?
I'd say for our new players, it's an opportunity to play one of the best Sonic games made ever, and for our fans, like you mentioned, it's just an opportunity to play the game again with either even better visuals, new features, get to experience some new stuff that's in the game. I think there's a little something for everybody there. Like I said, old and new Sonic fans alike.
What do you think it is about Sonic? We've seen a lot of video game mascots come and go. Bubsy comes to mind, right? What do you think it is about Sonic that's had him withstand the test of time over all these years?
That's a great question. I think it comes down to people like you and myself who have grown up on Sonic. And for me in particular, I'll never forget when I got my Sega Genesis. June 10th, 1992, I think along that time was the exact date that I got it, just before my 10th birthday. And I've been but I've been in Nintendo land, and I remember just putting in Sonic the Hedgehog for the first time. And just, like you said, the vibrancy, the colors just exploded. And on the Genesis, we were so lucky to get not just Sonic, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, got Sonic Spinball. We've got a couple of spin-off games from it as well. And it was the right game at the right time. And there was just so much of it. And as we got older, I think one of the things that really stuck with us is how powerful of an icon Sonic was for us. Because Mario at the time, he still is, but for that brief moment, he was King Supreme. And then Sonic came in and took that top spot just for a little bit. And there's something about that pride and knowing that Sonic, he's still awesome and he's fantastic and amazing. But at one point, he was the top of the hill. And I think for a lot of fans, we know that Sonic is excellent. We know that Sonic is great, and we're just not willing to let him go into the sunset because there's so much potential in this character. There was potential in the 90s, there was potential in the early 2000s, there's potential today to really help make him shine.
Was there any particular challenge that you can talk about when you were working with the team on remastering the game? Anything that came up that's kind of out of the ordinary you can speak to, or something that you thought was interesting that you normally don't see in updated remaster versions of games when you're trying to do that?
I wouldn't necessarily say. I'd say it's kind of funny. Like the only thing that really jumps out at me is Corona and COVID. Been making games for a long time, and usually it's like this, kind of social experience where you've got 200 of your closest friends, anywhere between 50 to 200 of your closest friends, and you're stuck inside of this building with each other for 2 years at a time. And Corona and COVID took that away. Under normal circumstances, let's say you have a problem or an issue, just be able to walk down the hall, talk to your artist, talk to your technical director, talk to your fellow producers, and explain to what the problems are. You don't have that same social interaction. So the time to resolve issues, it takes time, and these sorts of things have knock-on effects on a project. I'll be honest with you, it took a little bit of time to get used to that, but I think testament to A, Sega Publishing, B, Blind Squirrel Games, we had hit a little bit of those not necessarily stumbling, but some of those issues early on during Corona, but really got into our footing over within the first few weeks of quarantine and work from home. We were back into kind of that zone of where we needed to be and really at full force again. I was actually really impressed by how quickly we were able to adapt and move this forward. And yeah, we're going to ship a game. We're going to ship a game and launch a game that was mostly developed from our garages, basements, and spare rooms in our house. And we weren't in the same space together. So this is a very interesting experience.
So there was a slight learning curve, but in the long haul, it didn't really affect the game's like release date or push it behind. Like you made all your milestones. That's great.
We did. It's kind of like a double-edged sword there, which is like you're working from home, but a lot of us put in a little bit of that extra effort to make up for that time and to make sure that this experiment of working from home, developing games from home, was a success. And not just for us, but I'd say multiple developers out there, anybody who's releasing games right now across all platforms. This is a huge accomplishment to be able to do this. So it's just not just a testament to Blind Squirrel Games, Sega Publishing, but I'd also say for all publishers and developers right now who are working through this problem space. But yeah, the other part as well is like you work from home, we're doing extra hours, we're cutting commute times down, but get to see our family. That's great.
To wrangle our cats. Like our animals that are in our workspace now because we're home all the time.
It's so true. It's and then to a certain extent, it's made the development process a little bit more personable because we get to see inside everybody's homes and be a part of those lives. And it's made it kind of a little bit more special because it's not just in the office. You're seeing a little bit of everybody's lives, and it's kind of nice. Made a lot of friends. I usually make friends on these projects, but a lot of long-term friends from this one.
And your game is coming out September 7th this year. Comes in on Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PS4, and I believe it is an Epic Game Store exclusive, correct? So it won't be on Steam, but Epic Game Store.
Correct. That is 100% correct.
And then you also have a digital deluxe version and a standard version. Can you talk about what the deluxe version has for players that are interested in that version?
I guess that we have two special editions that are coming out right now, but the biggest difference between the digital deluxe and the standard deluxe edition, one is that the standard deluxe edition has physical pack-ins. Most importantly, I'll be honest with you, a little baby Sonic keychain, which I'm very excited to get my hands on. And then for the digital deluxe version, the big feature and big exciting feature is early access to the game. So anybody who pre-orders the game through digital deluxe will get to experience the game. So they get it on the Friday, 4 days ahead of the official release.
And because I have to ask, do you have any plans to support, you're already updating the game exponentially, but any plans to make it more optimizable on the Xbox Series X and S or the PlayStation 5? Is that something down the road that you guys are thinking about?
While we were developing, we actually were testing and working alongside with the PS5 and Xbox Series X. We don't take full advantage of the system's features, some of the system features, but I can say that the game does run very, very well on those platforms.
That's great.
Very smooth.
And then the very last thing I have to ask it because everyone's going to be like, why didn't you ask the question? Is there anything you can tell us about the new Sonic game, formerly known as the Artist Prince? because I don't. That's all I could think about when I saw the symbol. I'm like, what is that symbol? Oh, there's the new game's no name. It's unpronounceable. It's a symbol.
What new Sonic game? No, kidding. I can't talk too much about future titles, but I am confident that what is being worked on, the fans are really going to appreciate it and like what's in store for the future.